say his name. Eric Garner, say his name. Eric Garner, say his name. Eric Garner, won't you say his name? Trayvon Martin, say his name. Trayvon Martin, say his name. Trayvon Martin, say his name. Trayvon Martin, won't you say his name? Sean Bell, say his name. Sean Bell, say his name. Sean Bell, say his name. Sean Bell, won't you say his name? Say his name. 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 Won't you say his name?
Freddie Gray, say his name. Freddie Gray, say his name. Freddie Gray, say his name. Freddie Gray, won't you say his name? Ayanna Jones, say her name. Ayanna Jones, say her name. Ayanna Jones, say her name. Ayanna Jones, won't you say her name? Sandra Bland, say her name. Sandra Bland, say her name. Sandra Bland, say her name. Sandra Bland, won't you say her name? Say her name. 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 Won't you say her name?
Kimani Gray, say his name. Kimani Gray, say his name. Kimani Gray, say his name. Kimani Gray, won't you say his name? John Crawford, say his name. John Crawford, say his name. John Crawford, say his name. John Crawford, won't you say his name? Michael Brown, say his name. Michael Brown, say his name. Michael Brown, say his name. Michael Brown, won't you say his name? Say his name. 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 Won't you say his name?
Miriam Carey, say her name. 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 Sharonda Singleton, say her name. Sharonda Singleton, say her name. Sharonda Singleton, say her name. Say her name. Say her name. Emmett Till, say his name. Emmett Till, say his name. Emmett Till, say his name. Emmett Till, want to say his name. 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 Want to say his name.
All right. 90.7 WTCC. Good morning. Welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. And as usual, we'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African-American experience. Words have their own vitality. They shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. It is 4 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. And I want to welcome you all into the spoken word, the Columbus Day edition. And you know, I'm not going to talk about Columbus sailing the ocean blue and discovering anything. We're going to talk about some relevant stuff today. And one of those is the truth about American history. This president and others have been attacking the 1619 Project, teaching the truth about American chattel slavery. And we're going to deal with that a little bit today. Then I'll also talk about Black men and the upcoming 2020 election. Where do they stand? Where should they stand? What's going on with that? And of course, I'll take your telephone calls at 413-337-1867, 413-337-1867. Welcome to everybody in the Pioneer Valley who's listening to us on 4,000 watts right here on WTCC FM. You can always stream us live at WTCCFM.org. You can also stream this program live on Hope Radio 1, Hope Radio number 1, And of course, you can catch me on my various streaming platforms, Periscope / Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. We're streaming live from the Greater Springfield NAACP Facebook page now. So tell a friend, tell somebody. As a matter of fact, go and search for my page, for my new public figure page. I've got a new page now. And so I want you to go and check that out. Bishop Talbert Swan. Do a search. Those of you on Facebook right now, you can go ahead and search for it right now. Find it. Tell a friend where it is. You all know they took down my verified public figure page a couple of weeks ago, and still fighting with them over that bogus decision. But in the meantime, and until we get that rectified, if we ever get that rectified, because Facebook just doesn't want to admit they screwed up. Go to the new Bishop Talbert Swan page, ma'am, sir. Go to it and tell somebody about it. You need to like it. You need to share it. All of that good stuff, so that we can connect. It's something when you have to rebuild. When I had about 55,000 followers on my page that was taken down, it's difficult once you have that type of an audience to start from scratch over again and kind of regain all of the folks that were with you. So I know there are a lot who have been telling me, I've been looking for you, So since we've got another page up, I want them to take the time, find it, share it, like it, all that kind of stuff. Okay. 413-337-1867. 413-337-1867. Tell a friend, tell somebody. The bishop is on the air right now. Don't you dare go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Right back. Don't touch that dial.
Talk to me, Eddie. Talk to me, Eddie. Talk to me, Eddie. Talk to me, Eddie. A positive attitude says everything about you. Attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. Every day you get up, you've been given a gift. That's why they call it the present. And it's up to you how you unwrap it. So yesterday is history. Tomorrow's a mystery. Today is a gift. So don't let the pain of your past bleed into your present and poison your future. Stop replaying the movie. Why did this happen to me? When it's done with you, be done with it. If it seems like you keep running into pigeons, it's an indication that you're flying too low. So set your sights a little higher. Remember, eagles fly by themselves. If you can see the invisible, you can do the impossible. Allow your challenges to be a stepping stone to propel you into new possibilities. So be discontent with your past accomplishment. You're only as great as your last success. So maintain your hunger and your passion. Remember this, within every seed there is a tree. In every tree there is a forest. Who and what you were born into is simply the environment to prepare you for your ultimate purpose. It was not a setback, it was a setup. Your purpose and potential is bigger than your past pain or problem.
Another talk dedicated to you. Listen to your heart, don't let your mind fool you. Remember the talk dedicated to you. Whatever you do is gonna surely come back to you.
Successful people will do the things they hate to get the things they love. Much of life is about sacrifice. You gotta give up something to get something. Success is not about what you've accomplished, but it's what you have overcome. For it's the test that you pass in life, which qualifies you for the next level. You have to be willing to face your challenges and overcome them. Most people drive 12,000 miles a year moving forward, but most accidents are caused when they move backwards. You gotta stay focused on what's ahead of you instead of what's behind you.
90.7 WTCC. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You know, every year they celebrate this day dedicated to the legacy and the life of a genocidal maniac, a murderer, a terrible navigator who was supposed to be finding India and wound up all the way over here in North America. Do you all ever wonder why Native Americans were called Indians? They were called Indians because Chris Columbus thought he made it to India, and he didn't. So he called the indigenous people of North America Indians. That's why y'all call them that to this day. A grave mistake by the guy who you celebrate as the founder of America. You know, if you go to the mall shopping and you park your car in the lot and I come out of the mall, I can't go up to your car and take it and say, look what I discovered. You know, it already belongs to somebody, right? Well, that's kind of, you know, how America gives Columbus the credit for discovering America. You know, there were already indigenous people here living. But, you know, white guy comes over, kills off the people that are here, and bam, they write the history. And they say he discovered America. That's what happened. That's the real. He was a butcher. He went throughout the Caribbean, butchering the natives. And many of the Caribbean islands give Columbus credit for being their founder and discoverer. If you go to Puerto Rico and various other places, you know, they celebrate Columbus as the one who discovered them. But that's not the case. That's not the case. So we get it. We understand that America still is stuck on stupid when it comes to the truth about its history and the truth about the fact that Columbus did not discover America. But here we are, you know. To the victor goes the spoils, and those who conquer are the ones who write the history, which is why it's so important that we teach our children the true history of America and the true history of our people. And that's so important in this day and age of misinformation, with the onset of so-called fake news, when people decide that anything that they don't want to accept, they'll just call it fake, whether it's fact or fiction. And in the case of an administration that now is anti-Black, anti-history, anti-science, it is more critical than ever that we teach the truth of American history. And one of those things that has been under attack by this administration and others and white so-called scholars all over America is the 1619 Project. Americans' educational system is really at risk with this election. Another term of Donald Trump, another term of Betsy DeVos in office, is detrimental. Here's the truth. African Americans built this country for free. Yes, I said it. That's the truth. They built this country for free. The horrors of the American slave trade contributed to Americans' current economic success, contributed to its military might. It contributed to its role in shaping global culture. But sadly, these truths have not been a part of the curriculum that is taught in America's public schools. What our students often get instead is a white-splaining, a whitewashed history that downplays the enslavement and the commoditization of Black bodies. It downplays it. It's an asterisk. It's a footnote in the curriculum. And for the nation's students, this culturally watered down history of enslavement has done more harm than it has done good. Because instead of learning historical truth, our students are subjected to storylines about enslaved people being treated well and the connection between America's greatness and Western European enlightenment and all this kind of stuff. But that was only until parents and students and community members and educators raised their voices and forced school districts to teach our young people factually based history. And to some extent, truth telling has drastically changed how our students learn American history. After years of campaigning, many more students are receiving the fullness of America's story. And one of the most recent contributions to this educational agenda was the 1619 Project. If you're not familiar with it, you need to get familiar with it. You need to read it. You need to learn it. You need to understand it. You need to make sure that even if your child's school district doesn't teach it, that you teach it at home. Okay? The 1619 Project is an ongoing initiative of the New York Times Magazine that started last summer in August of 2019. During the 400th anniversary of the beginning of American slavery. The 1619 Project came onto the scene with an invite to some serious dialogue about slavery, about race, about racism, and all of that. And once again, I can't underscore it enough that if you're not familiar with the 1619 Project, you need to get familiar with it. There's an entire attack in America on that project because, you know, folks don't like the truth when it comes to the way America has treated Black people. And Nicole Hannah-Jones from the New York Times was the one who spearheaded this particular project. She's been constantly under attack. And we need to protect that sister and support that sister in terms of the work that she has done and has brought to the forefront of the American discourse. Donald Trump and Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, they caught wind of these seeds of change. They caught wind of the fact that people were beginning to talk about the truth of American slavery and American history. And because to them, it didn't sound patriotic, because the hell with the truth, as far as they're concerned. They're not concerned with the truth. They want American history to be taught to sound patriotic. That's it. It really doesn't matter if it's factual or not, as long as America comes out on top and the white man who came here, looks like a hero instead of the villain that he was, murdering indigenous people and enslaving Africans. That don't sound good enough. That doesn't sound patriotic. So what we want to do is we want to cover that up. We want to pretend that didn't happen. And so any curriculum, anything that comes to the fore that underscores that truth they want to suppress it. You know, they want to get rid of that. They don't want to talk about that. So when 46 minus 1 and Betsy DeVos caught wind of these seeds of change, that people are talking about the truth of American history in school districts across the nation, they made it their mission to take America 2 steps backward. And so their latest move is to fund efforts to make the public school curriculum more patriotic. You know, as they see it, there's too much emphasis on what they call negative aspects of American history. And that's what most of us really understand is the realities of America's dismal past. They want to cover that up. They want to block that. They want to hide that. They want to pretend that never existed. We've got to make it more patriotic. We can't focus on the negative aspects of America's past. No. We can't do that. We've got to only focus on the good stuff, the good sounding stuff, and we've got to pretend that other stuff, you know, just didn't exist, just didn't happen. So they're coming against curriculums like the 1619 Project. They're coming against anything that's telling the truth about the heinous horrors of slavery and other horrible crucibles that indigenous and African American people went through in these yet to be United States of America. So if it happens that in your school district they don't teach this, or they get rid of it, or whatever the case may be, you've got to be prepared to teach it at home, because young folk need to know the truth. They don't need to be fed propaganda. They don't need to be fed a diet of misinformation. You know, they don't need this watered down, whitenized version of American history that pretends that America's always been altruistic and brave and the home of the free and the land of the brave and all of that. They're really just basically attempts to rewrite history, and they shouldn't be taken lightly. They shouldn't be dismissed, you know, as too outlandish to be real. Ignoring race and paying little attention or really no attention to racial injustice as it shows up in public education and in other parts of American life has been a key aspect of this administration. And it will continue if y'all are dumb enough to elect him again as president. 413-337-1867 is the number here. If you want to chime in on the conversation, we're going to talk about election as well. My focus this time around, I'm going to be talking about Black men in terms of this election. 13% of them went for Trump the last time. I'm wondering what it's going to look like this time around. I'm hoping it's nowhere near that number, but we'll talk about it. And when you think about this administration, about a key aspect of their administration being to pay little attention to racial injustice or to downplay racial injustice. Even this morning, Trump is on a tweet storm tripping about some statues being taken down. Antifa, the radical left, we got to get the FBI on them. These are animals. And, you know, I mean, the irony of that whole line of conversation is when you are willing to label people who feel the angst, the frustration, the righteous anger of an unjust America. Animals because of some civil disobedience, like taking down a statue. We can't help but compare that to the fact that this president never called Kyle Rittenhouse an animal. Now think about that for a moment. Never called him an animal. This president never called Stephen Paddock or Patrick Christmas an animal, and they murdered combined 80 people, but they calling them taking down statues animals. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Caller, you're on the air. Going once, caller. Going twice. Goodbye. 413-337-1867. If you're gonna call, talk. Okay. He never once called them animals. Never once. And what does it say about a president who will call people who pull down statues animals, but won't call white supremacist murderers animals? What does that say about him, his character, his administration? 413-337-1867. And this is a recurring theme. This is a recurring thing, whether it was in Charlottesville, where he affirmed the goodness of neo-Nazis by talking about very fine people on both sides, or whether it was during Betsy DeVos's attempt to describe HBCUs as the first chapter in school choice. You know, we know where the Trump administration stands on racial equality, whether it was defending Kyle Rittenhouse, claiming that what he did was in self-defense. We know where they stand when it comes to racial equity issues. And they're on the wrong side of history every single time. Every single time. Good morning, caller. Caller, you're on the air. Okay. I don't know if I'm being prank called, if the caller is confused because of the delay, or what it is. But if you obviously watching me, caller, when you call in, talk. When I say caller, you're on the air, that's your cue. That's your time to chime in on the conversation. Otherwise, I don't want to have to block your number for continually calling and saying nothing. 413-337-1867. Only if you want to chime in on the conversation, not just to sit there with dead air. So parents and students and educators and the community at large are really seeking to advance the cause of equity, of truth, of racial justice in our nation's classrooms, while this administration are doing what they do best, trying to take us back to a time where racial justice was not part of the national conversation. All right, let's try one more time to see if our caller is actually want to say something. Caller, you're on the air. Okay. All right. I think I'm gonna have to block that caller right there. That's the third time they called and decided to say nothing. So I know I get a lot of trolls and stuff like that. So I'm going to assume that might be a troll who's got nothing better to do than prank call my radio program this morning. And so we're gonna have to block your number. Because you're disturbing us right now. 413-337-1867 is the number here for anybody who wants to talk about the subject matter. Okay. All right. This attempt, family, to whitewash American history, to basically exclude centuries of racial injustice that has been visited upon the bodies of Black people. Um, 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 this president has made it painstakingly clear where he stands on the issue. Let's see if we can get this caller on. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Bishop. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes, I was calling to find out if is there an active campaign to change Columbus Day from a federal holiday to an Indigenous Day?
Not that I am aware of. I don't know of any such campaign. I think it would be a worthwhile campaign to at least create a narrative in the public sphere. I'm pessimistic about how successful such a campaign would be, since it's one of those holidays that's so embedded in American culture. But I do think it's worth bringing to the forefront in terms of the narrative and talking about it. Is that something you're interested in?
Okay, thanks for your response and taking my call this morning.
All right, thank you.
I am, actually.
You are, okay. All right, well, I tell you what, if you ever decide you want to do something like that, hit me up, because I'd be interested in being a part of that.
Okay, will do.
All right, thank you, caller. Thanks for calling. 413-337-1867. That's what you do when you call in, you talk. And I don't know, I didn't block that other caller because I don't know if they were just having some difficulty with the delay or what. But when you do call in, you got to turn your if you're simultaneously on another device, you need to turn that device down, because there will be a delay between your telephone and that particular device. And that may be what's confusing you. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. Caller, you're on the air. All right, I don't know if that's our prank caller or not. Oh, boy. So listen. Do me a favor. Stay on top of the curriculum in your children's school. Stay on top of what's being taught. It's important. It is important that we have a say, and that our history is taught in the system. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning. How you doing this morning? And just kind of listen at the narrative that you're speaking about this morning. And one of my main objectives is right now is they're trying to rush that Supreme Court justice through. And just calling back, when Obama tried to put his advocate in, it took almost a year or somewhere thereabouts, and it never really got there. So. And then I was just
remember the last person Obama nominated, Merrick Garland. He nominated him in February of 2016, and he wasn't going out of office until January of 2017. So it was a full 11 months before he left office. And they said, oh, there's not enough time. Oh, we can't do this in an election year. We got to let the next president have the opportunity, so on and so forth. And here we are, a mere days before the election, and they're pretending that they have enough time to rush it through. It's complete.
See,
It's
that's
complete
the thing
hypocrisy.
that I'm speaking of. They want to, stack her. I was just listening to, where these things, we're talking about lifetime appointments here. So now what we're going through now, a lot of stuff about Black Lives Matter and this and that. Sure, it does. We all know all that stuff matters. But when it gets down to the point to where, you're going to put someone in there like Kavanaugh and being in the next 50 years, these guys ain't going to change. They walk through the door with one attitude or one, philosopher, and they don't change, so.
Well, one example is, and I could be wrong. I'll look it up before I get off the program. I believe the current person that Trump is nominating to the Supreme Court is in her 30s. I believe I don't believe she's 40 years old yet. I could be wrong. Maybe that was another candidate. But the bottom line is there are many federal nominees that he has placed on the bench in their late 30s, early 40s. And when you think about the average age, the medium age, and most of them have been white men, the medium age for white men is 75 years old. And you put a 40-year-old on the bench, you're talking about a guy who's going to be on that bench for 35 years, literally a couple generations, making decisions, critical decisions. So these are long-reaching effects that far outlive a president's 4-year term. And that's what our people have to understand. This isn't just about the next 4 years. This is a presidential administration could potentially be about the next 40 years, which is why it is critical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what, was on my mind. And of course, I want to get off in a couple seconds here. It kind of, put me at a bad side because right now, we're fighting through stuff that we going back through Jim Crow and all this other slavery stuff. It just got a different face on it.
Yeah.
Right now. So I just wanted you to kind of speak on that and let people know, what you just explained there about time span of people being on the court. Right now with this election that's going up or catastrophe or whatever we want to call it, it's not just today. It's going to be a lot of tomorrows coming up. So I just want you to appreciate my time, and I just want you to kind of let some of our listeners know exactly what you're trying to tell them and what they need to be listening at. Okay, sir?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your call. Yeah. Long-reaching effects. We're going to talk about election momentarily. First Lady is coming up in a moment. Let me wrap up the conversation about the teaching of American history in our schools by saying instead of accepting revisionist and whitewash history, we've got to lift up public schools and educators that are committed to a curriculum that teaches history and challenges students to make a meaningful contribution to ending racial injustice. We've got to also be engaged in the fight to equip our schools with well-trained educators and enough resources to identify and meaningfully address biases. And so while we're engrossed in this national election, we've got to turn and focus our attention on school committee races, down ballot races that deal with our everyday lives, quality of life issues, our children's education, and things that we deal with every single day. So I wanted to bring that point to you about American history, especially on this Columbus Day, which is a gross bastardization and mischaracterization of history. It's misinformation that has been passed down through the centuries about the discovering of America and the Caribbean and all of that. And we still have to fight to debunk that myth. When I'm turning toward the election, I really want to focus today on Black men in this election. We've talked a lot about Black women, and we know where they are. We know where they were 4 years ago. 97% 6% of them went with the Democratic nominee and voted against Trump. We know that they have been at the forefront of voter registration, fighting voter suppression, all of that. And so, of course, we give kudos and honor to those sagacious sisters that have been doing what they need to do to make sure that we are represented in the public sphere. But we need to turn our attention and kind of focus on what is going on with Black men who, for whatever reason, 4 years ago, 13% of them decided that a white supremacist was the best candidate for president of the United States of America. And living in America is kind of like having a second job, because all the time you've got to work when you're Black in America, every day, nonstop. And we as Black men have a duty to ourselves and to our communities to do better and to want better. We exist in a system that oppresses us. We get told that if we just do this or do that, that the result would be different, but we know that that's not the case. The results may never change. And look, I'm not here, necessarily to preach. Well, I guess I am to preach to you about your civic duty. I get it. You're grown as a Black man, and what you do, you're going to do. And there's some who say I shouldn't tell people that they have to vote. I'm just going to say that people died, sacrificed their lives. So I am going to climb on my soapbox to try to appeal to you, because this moment matters and your vote matters. So for all of those brothers that are inclined to stay home, who have become disenchanted with the Democratic Party, I understand you. I feel you. I really do. And have decided that we're going to make the Democrats pay by not voting Democrat or not voting at all, or I'm going to turn and I'm going to elect Trump again just to kind of thumb my nose at you. You're the one I want to talk to today. I get it. Joe Biden isn't perfect. And if you check my record, I have been extremely critical of Joe Biden all throughout the primary, and even once he emerged as the nominee. But listen, I keep saying this over and over again, that Trump is an existential threat to the world, to this nation, and most definitely to Black people. He doesn't want to hear your voice. He doesn't want to hear your demands. He doesn't want you to be able to peacefully raise your voice. If you do, you get tear gas, rubber bullets, and police brutality. And you got to be honest with yourself right now, Black man. As bad as we may think Biden is or has been with his record of the crime bill and other heinous things, do you really believe that a Biden White House would do half the things that the Trump White House has already done to our community? And if you can answer yes, then go ahead with your bad self and stay home or vote for Trump. But if the answer is no, you've got a responsibility to your community. 413-337-1867. Let me bring the First Lady on, even though she hasn't cooked me no breakfast. I was watching, I can't even remember the name of it, but anyway, something on TV where dude was talking about to his wife about cooking, but she did cook yesterday, so I guess I got to give her credit for that. So I guess she gets a pass on breakfast for making dinner last night. Good morning.
That's not the way you bring me in the radio show.
Huh?
That's not the way you bring a wife into the radio show. Talking about me cooking for you. You can cook for me too, you know.
She don't get to tell me what to do.
That can go both ways. That can go both ways. Did you forget that women are liberated too?
Anyway,
Mm.
let me see. Can I mute you? Can I mute?
Okay.
She don't know she's muted, y'all.
Yeah.
Good morning. Tell the people good morning.
Good morning. But you know, you don't want to do that because I enhance your show.
Tell the people good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
That's better.
I just gotta get Bishop straight sometimes.
You can't never get me straight.
I need to. I need to.
I was born.
And maybe 13% of black men wouldn't have voted like they did in 2016 if they had allowed some of these black women to get them straight. How about that?
Well, you know, I don't know.
Oh, it's quiet now, Bishop. It's quiet now.
I don't know about that. Because as much as those 13%, you got to remember there's 87%, the vast majority of black men who did the right thing. So we're not going to dismiss 87% of black men because of what 13% did. No more than we're going to dismiss.
But we're also not going to ignore the 13% that helped them.
No more than we're going to dismiss, 95% of black women for what 5% of black women did.
It was actually higher than that, but okay. 13% is huge, though. That's huge.
Well, so is 87%. So I don't. Of course, I brought this up.
It's not as big as 97.
You know what, y'all? I was having a good show. 413.
It's better now. It's better now.
1867 413-337-1867. Over the past couple of months, Biden's campaign has been engaging conversations with black men as part of their Shop Talk series. And the conversations they have attempted to have open and honest dialogue. And during that dialogue, black men from around the country were given a chance to ask questions, to push the campaign on many of their proposals, including doubling the number of mental health care professionals in public schools, investments into black entrepreneurs, ending discrimination based on hairstyle and texture, police accountability, talking to him about reparations, any number of things. They've been having these conversations and talking about their disenchantment with the Democratic Party. And so the one thing I have to give the administration credit for doing is at least engaging black men in the conversation, because on the other side, on the Republican side, they're not engaging us in conversation about what our concerns are. They're simply saying, if you don't vote for us, you're a slave on the Democrat plantation, and that kind of stuff. They're basically disparaging black men. You're not a free thinker. Candace Owens brought a group to DC this weekend, had some of her sponsors pay for their trip, and they wore these Blexit t-shirts. They marched in the streets of DC for Blue Lives. Okay. They consider themselves kind of like opponents of the Black Lives Matter movement. Black people. These are black people. So they marched for Blue Lives. They were marching in the streets talking about, if you support your president, make some noise. If you support Blue Lives, make some noise. Then they went to the South Lawn of the White House, and they're making this pretense like there's so many people that is following this group. They had 400 people there in total and had to pay for them, to get there. And then they're talking about, look at this massive movement. Well, I was just at the March on Washington, and what did we have? 250,000 or something out there. But in any case, they went to the South Lawn of the White House, which is a coronavirus hotspot. Black people already are dying at a disproportionate rate of COVID-19. They go to a coronavirus hotspot to be lectured by Trump, a dude who has coronavirus, in another super spreader event. I don't. I'm confused about the mentality of those black people, and maybe somebody out here can help me understand this kind of self-loathing, self-hate of your own people and of your own circumstances, because I don't get it.
Well, I'll leave the national discussion about that up to you. I'm gonna bring it home though, locally. And what I've been seeing over the last few months, and the vast difference, the huge gap between how Democrats are doing things, and this is not necessarily my impression on parties, but whatever, how Democrats are doing things, how Republicans are doing things. I heard about, all of the chaos that the Republicans, or I'm going to say the Trump supporters and Republicans, all of the chaos and confusion and parades and festivals and all of that stuff that was happening, I believe in West Springfield, Westfield, out in that area, and how they came out. And I thought about the intimidation, or at least them trying to be very intimidating, with, their displays and with their show, or whatever, the case may be. But then I thought about how Democratic political leaders are reaching out to people in the community, and the differences, the vast differences in their programming and the Republican programming. Case in point, Ed Markey's office, and some other, political leaders have been reaching out, connecting with people in the community, certainly connecting with the NAACP, connecting with the women, the Greater Springfield women in the NAACP. They've been providing sessions and workshops to inform voters, to educate voters. So, we've been really, really, really taking advantage of some of these things that's been happening. And we've been going to some of these things, that's been happening in the community, throughout the community, here in Springfield. And we are becoming more educated. We are becoming more informed, because a powerful voter or empowered voter is one that is an informed voter. That's what we believe. So I learned a whole lot. They had a power building session Thursday night. Ed Markey's team had a power building session the other night. And I learned some things about the way that Massachusetts governs itself. I learned about this thing called home rule, which I never, knew about before. And I certainly got more detailed information about gateway cities, for instance, the number of voters that we have, how different cities and towns definitely have different structures, political structures. I mean, it's really huge, So it's not just pulling a lever, but feeling good about, the name that you are voting for, or the person that you're voting for, and having reasons as to why you're going to support that person. And then also, let's not forget, Bishop, the ballot questions. The ballot questions that are on, that we have to vote on November 3rd, or during this election, I should say. So, I mean, it's a lot. But what's really impressing me right now, and making me feel really good, and unashamed about being a Democrat right now, is that the Democrats are not trying to bully anybody, not trying to intimidate anybody to vote for Biden and Harris. They're really trying to educate voters and inform voters, and they're telling people to vote. They're not telling you, trying to force feed you who to vote for, but they're telling you to go and vote after they give you some more truthful information about, what's going on in your city, what's going on in your state, and so on and so forth.
So what needs to happen though? And I hear you in terms of Dems engaging the community, and I don't particularly. I'm an independent, and I don't particularly subscribe to wholly to any of the platforms. I typically vote in the best interests of my community and my beliefs. But what needs to happen for Democrats to be able to kind of allay the concerns of Black men who feel like the party has taken the Black community for granted, that it has been able to craft a specific agenda for every other demographic group except Black people. One of the critiques on the current vice presidential nominee of the party, Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, was when she was doing that interview, and she said, I'm not going to do anything specifically for Black people. No. And the notion has basically been that if we have certain policies, Black people will be lifted up too. It is kind of a rising tide lifts all boats. So although we're crafting this specifically for this demographic group, it's going to help Black people too. And what Black men are saying is we're tired of being the two. We're tired of being, it'll also help us. When are you going to craft an agenda specifically for Black people that might also help somebody else? I heard one person put it like this: you got an agenda for LGBTs, for hunchbacks, for one-legged people, for immigrants, for everybody else except for Black people. What do the Dems need to do to address this concern? Because it's not going to go away after this election, even if they're successful in getting their nominee elected. If they don't do something in that 4-year interim period, specifically for Black folks, they're going to have that same concern and problem come 2024.
Well, first of all, I feel like that's a huge conversation, but I think one of my major concerns or top priority for me is to have a Black agenda. However, I do think that hold that
thought. It's 9:59. I got so caught up with First Lady, I completely forgot I need to sign off on WTCC. I want to thank each and every one of you on TCC who have been listening to us. And until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you, and so do I. Streaming audience, hold tight. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back for the overdrive, for the extended version of the spoken word that we do every Monday morning after we get off of WTCC. Sometimes I get so caught up in the conversation I forget that we're simultaneously broadcasting live over the radio, and my radio time is only up until 10 o'clock. And so I've got to sign off of the radio program and then continue on with the streaming audience. So my radio audience is gone, just you faithful that are here with our streaming audience. So good morning to you that are on YouTube. I see you. I see y'all on Periscope. Somebody on Periscope is saying the Democrats are not as transparent as they should be. I tend to agree with that. But go ahead. You were in mid thought, so go ahead and continue your thought.
Well, I mean, I just have several, theories about that. First of all, I want to make it clear that as a Black woman, we're not just promoting the betterment, or we're not just concerned about the betterment of Black men, but we're concerned about the betterment of Black people. And I believe that that's the reason why we vote like we do, and that we strategize like we do. I think it's two problems that we have, though, in the Black community when it comes to developing a Black agenda that has been adopted by these people that we vote for and that we support, even, when we come together and we organize and strategize. I think because we have not developed a universal Black agenda, that we've worked in these silos, or whatever. I think that's the problem. I think that Black people need to caucus, and I think that Black people need to develop a universal agenda, and then we can use that in our power together, okay, together to then force these political leaders to certainly adopt our agenda or prioritize our agenda. I think that's part of the problem. And I think also the other problem that we have is that when we elected our first Black president, we did not force him to make us or Black people a priority. So, you have these groups, for instance, it's the same thing that's happening in the city. You have these groups that might be making some leeway or have a good agenda and this, that, and the other, but because the community as a whole has not adopted, a basic, format or a basic agenda and work from that to make it applicable to your cities and states and so on and so forth, I think that's the problem.
Okay, now say that one more time about didn't force the president
Obama
to have a Black agenda.
Yeah, we assumed. I think some of us assumed that because he was Black, that he would go into office, right? Automatically making the needs and the rights of Black folk a priority. He did not. He did some wonderful things, though, that we loved, we appreciated, and so on and so forth. But it wasn't connected to a full Black agenda.
And what would a full Black agenda consist of?
Well, a full Black agenda would be things that you change or you revise or even implement to help, again, right the wrongs of America to Black people, like reparations, for instance. And we know that reparations, could be designed in multiple ways, not just giving Black folk money, but, say, for instance, because of, what our ancestors did, the contribution or the blood that was shed by Black folk, or whatever, in the inhumanity that Black people have experienced here in America. Reparations can be done in several different ways, like no taxes or free tuition, or just all kinds of ways to where, you know, we can not only be validated, but not
listen,
only
I
be
want my check.
validated. Let
I
me
want my
finish my
check.
thought back. Yeah, but not only be validated as Black folk, you know, but like I said, acknowledged and recognized, you know, not only for the contribution that we made, but it wouldn't be no America had it not been for you know, Black people. It wouldn't be no America today, like if it had not been for, you know, Black people. And so, you know, that's a definite. The same thing with you was talking about school curriculums and this, that, and the other. So the same thing about teaching the truth of Black history. And like I said, I say this all the time. When you think Black history in America, they go to two things. They go to slavery and they go to MLK. And it's like we are so much more than slavery. We were not slaves when we were enslaved. And I think that's really important. It's been generation after generation after generation that only thing, you know, only think about us in terms of slavery. And we were so much more than that before slavery. And we were so much more than that during slavery. And we're so much more than that now. So, I mean,
Well,
it's just so many things, but we need to have a universal Black agenda. That's my thought on that.
then should that agenda be something that a politician crafts and presents to us, or should that be something that we develop within our own community, and then we go and say, listen, this is what we want you to adopt, and this is how we can support you if you can adopt this agenda. So who does the
That's
onus belong
no,
to
no, the
to craft a Black
community.
agenda?
No, it's the community's voice that is lifted, and we use our politicians to represent us. It don't go the other way. We use our politicians, we support them, and we vote for them, and we put them in office to represent the agenda that we bring to the table. No, it always should start at the community, and the community uses its political prowess and its political power again to support the representative that we, you know, that we believe will push our agenda. That's the way that's supposed to work. So, like I
So
said, we assumed that Obama was going into office with a Black agenda priority mindset, but he didn't. He did not.
so then how does the community come together to craft this agenda? Whose job is it to bring Black folk together on a national scale, um, to craft a Black agenda that can be adopted by a party, a politician, or a presidential administration, or whatever it may be? Because perhaps the problem is we've got all of these different voices that keep saying, you know, and particularly Black men who keep saying no Black agenda, no vote. But the problem I see with that is they're saying no Black agenda to the politician, but they haven't crafted a Black agenda to give to the politician to say this is
Right.
what I
That's
need for
my
you to
point.
adopt. And so
Right.
you can't expect some white person who's running for office to have an agenda that's going to meet your standards. Isn't that something we've got to do for ourselves?
We got to do that for ourselves. I absolutely agree. So 1000%. So, but that gets back to the grassroots. That also gets back to being organized. See, that's one thing I can say about other groups. They are organized. They come together, you know, for the betterment of their specific community, specific population. Black folk have been divided, you know, and divided, uh, and you know, because you know, people, certain groups, you know, infiltrating, you know, the Black community, you know, they're really good at dangling carrots in front of people. So, but nevertheless, if this is my opinion, this is just a thought that I have. We need to have a universal Black agenda. I think about the Million Man March. I know I'm just speaking, several things are in my mind right now. But I think
Well,
about the
well,
Million
well,
Man
well,
March. I think about the Million Man March that you went to all of those years ago, right? So
25-year
million black
anniversary
men,
is Friday.
what?
The 25-year anniversary of the Million Man March is
Okay,
Friday.
well then maybe I'm feeling it in my spirit then. So, amazing. So it was 25 years ago. I remember when you went, Christian African black man, Christian black man, certainly, held by, coordinated, organized by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. But he brought all of these black men together from various communities all around the country. But what y'all did was this, or what they did was this. They developed a universal black agenda at that Million Man March. A universal black agenda. Then y'all came back and y'all took from that universal black agenda and y'all carved it out and made it more specific to Springfield. And for years, we operated off of, to help make our community better, or to help to enhance our community, or to help to enlighten our community and educate our community and inform our community. For years, when the Million Man March was operating, we saw the framework of the Million Man March agenda, being implemented and playing out. So, and it was a wonderful thing. It was a wonderful thing. And so now we've raised a generation off of that agenda. If you think about it, our daughters, our sons were raised, their lifestyle and their quality of life was enhanced based off of that agenda that we believed in and we were passionate about. And so now we're here today. I'm gonna remind you of something that happened with our daughter Shannon when she was in the 2nd grade. It's Christopher Columbus Day. Remember? She was in the 2nd grade, and because of how we teach our children at home, which we teach them the truth of American history, and we certainly teach them the truth of Black history. So, Shannon was in the 2nd grade when she, rose her hand in reading class and started to ask questions about the truth of Christopher Columbus, to the point to where she irritated the reading teacher, and she got the attention of the principal to the point to where they shut down Christopher Columbus, celebrating Christopher Columbus for at least 5 or 6 years until, they got the new principal, and the new principal didn't know anything about, Christopher Columbus being shut down. But that happened. Then when Driscoll was in the 6th grade and Black History Month, comes up, Driscoll does her Black History presentation on Maya Angelou, and her 6th grade teacher didn't know who Maya Angelou was. But again, we were being encouraged and fed, and we were developing as parents, these pro-Black parents, or whatever the case may be, and we was passing that down to our kids.
Absolutely.
Again,
good morning, caller.
Black Agenda, Million Man March.
Good morning, Bishop. Good morning, First Lady.
Hi.
This is Talbert, and
Hi.
I love Monday mornings with you guys. Y'all are better than morning show. Trust me.
We're gonna call it Morning Tal.
I still in the beat. I'm in that category.
We gotta figure out who the beast is, though, because
You Bishop, you are playing the devil. You are playing you playing them. And and definitely, First Lady, you're adding beauty to an ugly situation out here in this world. And I love that you guys are sharing about your son you know, and how he was affected by the election. And like now, I know people who are new voters, and they're asking me, well, is there anything that we can do, you know, other than voting? You know, can this president be stopped? And that leads to the conversation, you know, that yes, voting, and it's our democracy. My husband is Jamaican. He's a naturalized citizen, and he often asks me, you know, why in America can this go on? Why in America can this go on? And he has born here. I ask myself too, other than knowing that we did not do enough in 2016 for the election to make sure that. But now the democracy of our country is at stake. It is so much more than Biden and Harris. I mean, there's a lot. And so I thank you both for educating and advocacy in what you do. But just, you know, we have to show our children, newly naturalized people, that America is so much better than this. And I thank you guys for what you're doing.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your call.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 413-337-1867. About 13 more minutes we'll be on. I want to welcome our Instagram audience. Instagram just jumped up as our mega church right now. Quite a few of y'all on here on the gram. I'm sorry I brought y'all on so late after the radio broadcast, but there's certain limits to some of this technology. But Mary Bass over here on IG says this: we have to create our own Black political party and run our own candidates. That's something to think about, realistically, because anytime you are utilizing someone else's platform, you're subject to their rules and to their agenda. I mean, that's even like 2-3 weeks ago when we were in the middle of my broadcast and Facebook shut us down. Once again, when you're on someone else's platform, you're kind of subject to their rules and stuff. And there's a lot to be said about Black folks being able to have their own, control their own, run their own candidates, have their own platforms, etc. And I think ultimately any real Black agenda has to include that in it. For us to have the ability to eventually have our own political party, have our own social media platforms, be able to craft our own agenda and not be dependent upon other folks for getting our message out.
But we also got to remember it's a couple other factors that really weigh into that. But one thing about that too, we got to be really careful now because all Black skin ain't your kin.
Yep, all folk ain't your kinfolk.
Yeah, there are plenty.
Like Cool Dan Owens.
Exactly. Well, case in point, so just because they Black don't necessarily mean, listen, Jesse Letterman is a white man here on the city council, and I love the brother. Like, he is a good brother. He's a man that has high integrity, but he really cares about the whole community. And so I can get with anybody like that, as opposed to somebody who might be African American, but not necessarily looking out for the whole community, or whatever, not even concerned about maybe the inequality that exists in a Black community or brown community or whatever the case may be, that's looking out for themselves. I will vote for Jesse over a Black person that's looking out for themselves any day of the week. So, we got to be careful, when we make those kinds of statements, because we can't think in generalities like that anymore. We cannot. We cannot.
I've got, let's see, Moan Ministries on Periscope is saying the Black Panthers tried our own party, the FBI shut them down. Yeah, they were dealing with COINTELPRO and J. Edgar Hoover's FBI, and in many ways, Bill Barr's, or rather, Chris Wray is over the FBI, but Bill Barr's Department of Justice is trying to employ some of the same tactics that J. Edgar Hoover employed back then by going along with this term that was crafted by Jeff Sessions when he came in as Attorney General of Black identity extremists, so that they could target Black activists and those that protest for Black lives, etc. And then Only One Bonita says on Instagram, "No more choosing between the lesser of two evils. I don't choose evil, period." That is a difficult thing for Black people in America, because we're always faced with that, unfortunately, the lesser of two evils. And I get that notion that the lesser of two evils is still evil, and that we shouldn't have to choose between evil. We should be able to choose a candidate that we don't look at as having evil tendencies and doing things to the detriment of Black people.
Well, that's true. We've always had that ambition. We need to talk about, since you're going to go out in 30, we need to talk about these programs that's coming up this weekend. But here's the thing that I want to say about that. That's always the choice, because nobody's going to be perfect, regardless of, who we vote for. We're not voting for, I don't know, a bishop or a pastor. We're not looking for perfection. I'm going to even take that away. We're not voting for a savior. Okay. We're not voting for a savior. We're voting for a politician. So they are human. So everybody's going to have their issues. Nobody's going to be perfect. But here's a question that I suppose to that is, okay, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, extremely inspirational. I love them, what they brought to the table, being the first African Americans, to be placed in the White House, that turned it into the Black House and all of that. But like I said, we'll be hard pressed to say that even while he was in office, that he did a whole lot for the Black community. As much as we love him, he still did not bring a Black agenda forward. So that is our responsibility. We got to take it out of that, those hands and whatever. What are we doing to push forward a Black agenda with consistency? What are we doing at home, in our local, municipalities, politically speaking, with the school boards and the school committees, the city councilors, and then abroad, with your state representatives and so on and so forth, and then certainly, to your U.S. senators. Do they even know who you are? And why are you so caught up on, what the presidents are doing and their, lack of perfection or whatever the case may be, when when they don't even know who you are at home? I mean, I'm not trying to really debate anybody on that, but I'm just saying, show up at home first. Show up at home. Know what's going on at home in government. You show up with your integrity, and you show up pushing, an agenda that is valuable to you in your respective community, and this, that, and the other, before, we really I think we get distracted in the national, platforms and so on and so forth, when and not handling our business at home. Am I making sense, Bishop?
I understand you. I just hope our listening audience is understanding what you're saying.
Yeah.
But go ahead with the announcements of what's happening locally around here. So for those of you who are around the 413 region, please feel free to participate in these things that we got going on. Early voting is coming up. And so we're pushing the envelope on this election. Your president is attacking Auntie Maxine Waters right now. But go ahead and give us the agenda for this weekend.
Yeah. So somebody said, I believe you read an Instagram post. Somebody said, how can we, is the only thing we can do is vote. And so I've been saying, and the women of the NAACP here in Springfield, we believe that this work entails goes way beyond what's going to happen November 3rd. But like right now, we're really, really trying to galvanize the community. We're really trying to inspire the community. So after information and education, and certainly, registration was at the top of that objective list. We believe that we have an inspiration problem, not just here locally, but nationally. So we have a lot of registered voters. We have many Black and brown people that are registered to vote, but Black and brown people have not been going to the polls in the numbers that we would like to see. So in order to help inspire our community, we want to encourage people to vote before November 3rd. Please don't wait till November 3rd if you don't have to. Every state, every state, every city is supposed to be following a early voting, or supposed to have an early voting calendar. I do know that suppression is real, and I know that a lot of people are dealing with some evil concerning, getting their votes in and having their ballots counted. But nevertheless, early vote. So here in Massachusetts, early voting will start on Saturday. The office will be open, City Hall will be open from 9 to 5. We've also posted the calendar for the early voting dates in the early voting sites. I believe it's going to be a couple of sites here in Springfield, but we only have 102,000 registered voters. So we only need 2 sites. There's also a ballot box outside of City Hall. But this Saturday, we're really excited to announce that we're going to be having our first Drive for the Win early voting caravan. So we're going to be meeting at the parking lot of Eastfield Mall at 9 a.m. on Saturday. And we are going to depart from Eastfield Mall around 10 a.m. And we're going to drive down Boston Road. Please follow all traffic rules. This is not a parade. This is a caravan. So please follow all traffic rules. But nevertheless, we're going to drive down Boston Road, drive down State Street, turn on Main Street, and we are going to go to City Hall and we are going to vote. We are asking everybody to participate. We're asking you to bring your ballots with you, to be dropped off, or to bring some registered voters in the vehicles with you, so that we can just make a day of early voting on the first day of early voting on Saturday. We're also going to have a lot of fun because we plan on having best decorated car an award. And we're calling the award, or the trophy, the Unity Trophy. So it's a competition. So we are asking people to decorate their car, make it a statement piece. Or it can be a sorority that you might be part of, or a fraternity, or you can rep your business, you can rep your family, whatever. It's gonna be some political leaders there. Their cars are gonna be decorated. It's gonna be some political candidates there. Their cars are gonna be decorated. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, at least they told me they're gonna be there. The Zetas are gonna have a car decorated. I'm hoping that the IOTAs come through with a car decorated. So we want to make it fun. And again, the cars will be judged that participate. And also, we're going to give the best car display the Unity Trophy, the first Unity Trophy. Okay, so that's happening. Then on Sunday, we're having what we've called the vote in tote. The vote in tote. So for the first 25 early voters on Sunday, October 18th, you can get a free soul food meal. We're calling it the Black Lives Matter meal. The first 25 voters, early voters, get a free meal, and any subsequent meal after 25 will only cost you $8.46 for a meal and drink. So the meal will be $8 and the drink will be 46 cents. I think y'all know what we're trying to do. We're promoting or acknowledging the unrighteous death and murder of Mr. George Floyd, and we're certainly highlighting Black Lives Matter. Also on Saturday, getting back to the 17th, it's so much that, it's so much in me. I'm so excited about this weekend. But also on the 17th, we are hoping, we're working on it. We will have the mural tour available to those of you who might want to participate in that. Might want to be able to participate in the mural tour. I've heard some fantastic things about the mural tour. And another one was put up this past Saturday. It is beautiful. It is fantastic. So we have a lot of murals throughout the city, and they have a specific history to them. So if anybody wanted to participate in that, you should be able to this weekend. I'm still working on solidifying some things, but my prayer is that God works that out for us as well. So remember, this Saturday, October 17th, we will have the Unity Trophy Award for Best Decorated Vehicle. We are asking you to meet us at 9 a.m. in the parking lot of Eastfield Mall, and we are going to drive down as a community. We're going to be cheered on by other members in the community, and we're going to go and we're going to cast our votes, and we're going to cast them early so they can be counted.
All right, whole lot happening, and want to remind those who will be attending church on the next 2 Sundays, on the 18th and the 25th. We're going to be doing souls to the polls after service. We're going to be going down and make sure that we go and cast our votes early. We want you to cast your votes early. And if you're going to mail in, make sure you send them out at least a couple of weeks early, because we don't know what's happening with the postal service. The best bet is for you to hand deliver them or get them to somebody who can hand deliver them for you. But whatever the case may be, make sure your ballots are cast. Okay. I got to move on out your way. It's always a pleasure being with you on Monday morning, both to the WTCC audience until 10 and to my extended audience beyond that on the various platforms. Thank you for
some people
in.
saying hi to me, Bishop. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to say hi to everybody that's showing me love. I really appreciate it. I miss Mississippi today. I hope Mississippi is out there and he can hear me, because he usually calls in on Mondays, to encourage us. So Mississippi, I was looking for you. Maybe that was him that was trying to call and couldn't get in.
No, it wasn't a Mississippi.
Mississippi. Okay. All right, Mississippi. I love you, Mississippi. I love all of y'all. Thank y'all for showing me love. It means the world to me. It means the world.
Make sure you follow on social media. You're obviously here already, but get us on all the platforms. I'm at Talbert Swan, wherever it is. Just look me up wherever it is. First Lady just does Facebook. I mean, she got a Twitter, but she don't never engage on it. And she's got an Instagram, but y'all, she's not gonna respond to y'all there either. So hit her up on Facebook. You can hit me up anywhere.
No, I just stalked my daughter on Twitter. I mean, Instagram.
You did what?
I stalked my daughter on Instagram.
Oh, okay. I can't. Well, I can't stalk one of our daughters because she's got me blocked because she don't want me to see stuff that
She don't have me blocked.
on Instagram. So, you know something's up when you block your daddy on Instagram. Something up with that. But
She
I
don't
ain't,
have me blocked. Yeah.
I ain't gonna mess with that. But anyway, let me get this music going. I got to get out your way. Listen, always a pleasure being with you. Not just Springfield, Pioneer Valley, but all points everywhere through the World Wide Web. We appreciate y'all so much. Until next time, I talk to you and you talk to me. Always remember, God loves you, and so do I. We'll see you next time. Peace.